Before I begin my sermon, I'd like to thank God for these young people. I always like to see young people involved in their love with Jesus. This is the dream of every pastor. Because after all, we are not here to run business, that many of our time is, but to bring people to God in a very special way, the young ones who really have that great energy to show us and to direct us and to make us always on fire for the Lord. Again, I thank them for being with us today. In the Gospel today, Jesus said to the disciples after they returned from their mission, "Rejoice not because the evil one is subject to you, but rejoice because your names are inscribed in the book of life." That means you are going to be in heaven. The first reading today, we saw the prophet Isaiah try to speak for comfort. And he's saying to Jerusalem, I know you are going through a hard time. You are in exile. But remember, the Lord is going to do something special. And you are going to be so rejoiceful because Jerusalem will comfort you. In the Gospel today, we find that consolation was given to the disciples because they obeyed the Lord. But do you know what direction the Lord gave them? First of all, he selects 72, not the apostles, 72 others, the Gospel says. And he sent them 2 by 2. Many of you will not understand, but I understand perfectly how many times when I am alone in that rectory, I feel so down. And I feel down because I see the lack of faith. People tell you, Father, don't preach too long because, well, after all, you know, the church is this. Well, after all, why don't go and clean the mess of the priests who mess around with children? And all kinds of nonsense that you hear from the congregation, from the phone, and even, unfortunately, from writings. Sometimes, you know, you go on the answering service of the parish, and there is somebody on the other line so ferocious and saying stuff that really upsets you. But this is why. Because the purpose of our call is to know God, to love God, to serve God, and to be with Him forever. And today, I mean, when we come to Mass, this hour or whatever it is an experience of heaven. So if this is not your comfort, here you don't find God who is touching you and trying to embrace you and love you, I don't know. Maybe you will not. And if you want to go to heaven, remember, this will be eternity. To praise and thank God forever and ever. Jesus today not only sent disciples 2 by 2, but He gave them strict instruction. Do not take no money with you. Do not take any clothes with you. No sandals. I don't know about you, but when I travel, I take 3 bags. 2 of them I never open. That's because we think that we are going to use this and you never use them. Especially if you go to Europe and you take clothes of winter. You will not use them for good. And the other thing is, do not talk to no one on the road. If I see my friend, you don't say hello? No. Because Jesus wants to tell us the urgency of this ministry. We cannot waste time because the devil is working hard. And although we know that his power is defeated under the cross, we know that he is still trying to steal souls. And we need to go to evangelize. We need to tell the people how much God loved them. We need to remind them of the goodness of the Lord. We need to tell them that God is asking them to return back to Him. Then he said to them, after they went, he said to them, you are shocked that the devil is subject to you? I saw him falling. You know what that means? He identified that he is God. Because Satan fought thousands and thousands of years before Christ came, when there was the battle in heaven, when the archangel Lucifer said, "Non serviam, I will never kneel in front of a God-made man," when God revealed the incarnation. And of course, he goes his way. And then Jesus said to them, I gave you power over the enemy, and nothing will harm you. Imagine the assurance of the message. And remember, do not rejoice much that Satan is subject to you, but yet your book, that your name is written in heaven. My dear people, I'd like to focus today on those very few lines as St. Paul concludes the letter to the people of Galatia. And there you are going to find St. Paul pouring out his heart and remind us who are we and who is God for us. Let me go forward. May I never boast except in the cross of Christ. How many times you say to the preacher or to people who do good, oh, you are so good, oh, you are wonderful. St. Paul said, I don't take no, as we say, credit for this. There is the credit. I boast and I boast in him. Because at that very moment that he was on the cross, he made victory for me. At that very moment he was on the cross, he defeated the devil. At that very moment, he restored me to the friendship of the Father. And because of that, he gave me the power now, that I immerse with him in the waters of baptism, to die with him to my sinfulness, and to rise with him to the life of grace. You see, St. Paul was so convinced of this. And listen to what he say later. Through which, for this cross, the Word has been crucified to me. I have been a stumbling block to many people. I have been in the way of people's life. I have told people to get lost. I have told people this is not the way to live. I told people to change their ways. And the Word is crucified to me. That means what the Word has to offer, I have no part of it. Because what the Word offers is happiness of the moment. For neither does circumcise means anything, nor does the uncircumcised, but only the new creation. Now when St. Paul do that, it's not just words. Can I say to you, deny your identity as American? You say, crazy and proud. St. Paul was more proud that he was a Jew. He was a Pharisee. They sent him to Jerusalem to study under Gamaliel. He said, I compete and I am the best among my peers. He asked to go to Damascus to kill the Christians, because at the age of 18 he was already assigned to become the one who brings justice to the Mosaic law. And now, not even 10 years later, he is telling me that he denied what he is. Because circumcision does not bring me Jesus Christ. Because this circumcision is not going to save me. And neither the Jews, with all their law, that they are not circumcised. You know what's going to save me?